Everyone's staying local this year, my sister told me. I nodded, not thinking much of it until I saw the charges: $11,200 for a chartered yacht in Croatia, booked with my backup card. Then, I got a text meant for my dad. He's too slow to notice. He never checks that account. I smiled. I reversed every transaction. By 6 a.m., they were at my apartment, shouting. I opened the door and saw something that shocked me. It all started with my sister's half-assed announcement over dinner last month. We were at our parents' place, some Tuesday evening thing with dried chicken and fake smiles. She looked up from her phone, chewing with her mouth open, and said, "Everyone's staying local this year." I nodded. Flights were ridiculous, my job was tense, and our family hadn't done a trip together since 2019. My mom threw in a comment about how simple things are best, and that was the end of it. No one seemed too disappointed. I actually remember feeling a bit relieved. I didn't have the bandwidth for airport drama, hotel bills, or pretending to enjoy overpriced boat rides. But less than 2 weeks later, I got a charge notification from a card I hadn't used since I left home. It was a backup card tied to a joint account I opened years ago in college, mostly for emergencies. The charge was for $11,200 from something called Best Straw Voyages Croatia. My first thought was fraud. Maybe someone guessed the number. But then I checked the full statement, and that's when my stomach turned. There were flights to Split, a luxury villa rental, charges at a seafood restaurant in Dubrovnik, prepaid reservations, a weirdly expensive entertainment package. One of the transactions even had my sister's name in the memo. They hadn't even tried to hide it. And then, as if on cue, I got a text from her. No greeting, no explanation, just, "He's too slow to notice. He never checks that account," and a thumbs up emoji. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I went into the bank app, froze the card, flagged everything, and began reversing each transaction. The rep on the phone was helpful, sounding mildly impressed when I explained what happened. By the time I was done, it was close to 4 a.m. I couldn't sleep, not because of the money, I'd get it back, but because of how calculated it all was. The planning, the boldness. They actually thought I was so checked out, so spineless, that I wouldn't notice an $18,000 disappearing act. And honestly, maybe a year ago, they'd have been right. I used to let things slide just to keep the peace. But this time, it was different. They crossed the line. At 6 a.m. sharp, someone started pounding on my apartment door. Not knocking, pounding, like they were about to kick it in. I opened it without saying a word. All three of them stood there. My dad's hair was still wet, like he hadn't even dried off after his shower. My mom clutched her purse like she was waiting for a courtroom bailiff. And my sister, in a full airport outfit, sunglasses, hoodie, suitcase behind her, looked furious. They started yelling, "No hello," just a mix of blame, panic, and this weird entitlement. "You can't just cancel everything. We had plans, Ethan. You're ruining this for everyone." Then my dad cut through the noise with something I didn't expect. "She's coming over right now. Don't make a scene. Just listen to her." I stared at him. "Who?" No one answered. Instead, my sister smirked and looked away. My mom, looking more annoyed than guilty, finally muttered, "Harper. She's coming. We invited her." Harper. My ex. The one who left in March, who said she needed someone more present. I didn't understand. "What does she have to do with this?" I asked. "She said she talked to you," my dad said. "We paid her $500. I shut the door in their faces, just like that. Didn't say anything, I didn't need to. I sat down on my couch and stared at the wall. They'd paid my ex, the one person I still cared about more than I wanted to admit, to show up at my apartment, hoping she'd soften me up so I'd give them money for a yacht in Croatia after lying to my face about staying local. I thought that was the end of it. I assumed they'd leave, stew in their own mess. But 20 minutes later, the doorbell rang again. And this time, when I checked the peephole, she was standing there. Harper. She was standing there like she didn't want to be, like someone had paid her, literally, to show up and play a role. That denim jacket of hers, the one I used to pull off her shoulders when we'd sneak into old movie theaters, looked out of place now. The whole moment did, but I opened the door anyway. She didn't smile, didn't say hi, just stood there holding her phone in one hand and her keys in the other. "I'm not here to change your mind," she said. "I just thought, I don't know. I needed the money." That was it. No apology, no hesitation, no fake warm-up to ease into it. I let her in, mostly out of curiosity. She didn't sit, just sort of hovered near the edge of the living room, looking around like she barely recognized the place anymore, which made sense. A lot had changed since she left. New couch, new bookshelves, different curtains. Same emptiness, though. She told me they'd contacted her 2 days ago. Said I was having one of my moods again, that I was threatening to cancel something that had been in the works for months, that I always get like this under stress and needed a push from someone who knew how to talk to me. She didn't ask questions. She took the $500. "I thought it was a birthday thing," she said. "Or maybe your parents were retiring. Something special. I figured I'd just come by, say a few nice things, remind you how to be a team player, and leave." I didn't say anything for a while. Then I asked her, did you think maybe, just maybe, they were lying? She looked down and said, I didn't want to think anything. Before she left, she hesitated at the door. Your mom was crying on the phone, Ethan. Your sister said you were acting like a stranger. I didn't know what to believe. I didn't respond. There wasn't anything to say. She stepped out, and I closed the door without watching her walk away. 10 minutes later, the text started. From my mom, we just needed a little help, Ethan. Was that so much to ask? From my sister, you embarrassed me. You couldn't even be decent to Harper. From my dad, this was important. But I guess you never cared about any of us enough to see that. They stopped asking for the full amount. Now it was just half. $19 between the three of us. All we need is $6 from you. That's fair, right? Like it was a fundraiser. Like we were splitting a pizza. They never asked why I froze the card, never said sorry, just kept circling around the fact that I overreacted and ruined everything, that if I just let things go, like always, this wouldn't have happened. I didn't respond. I just started wondering why the desperation. Why go to these lengths for a boat and a villa and a place none of us had ever even talked about visiting? That night, I barely slept. At 3 a.m., I got up and went through every bank statement for the last 6 months, checking for anything else they might have accessed. Clean. It was only this one card. But then, the next morning, I got a voicemail from my sister. No greeting, no context, just her voice, low and serious. He needs us to go. It was part of the deal. Don't mess this up, Ethan. I played it 3 times. He. Who the hell was he? And what kind of deal involved using me to pay for it? That voicemail sat with me like a stone in my gut. He needs us to go. It wasn't just some throwaway trip to the Adriatic anymore. There was something behind it. And they weren't just hiding it from me, they were hiding it for someone. I didn't call her back. I didn't reply. I just started digging. I pulled up the original charge details again, this time looking closer at the vendor info, Straw Voyages. I called the company, pretending to be a clueless client who lost his booking confirmation. The guy on the line was polite, European accent, and within a few minutes, he confirmed the reservation was still active. 7-day private yacht, he said. Split to Dubrovnik. Paid in full by a Mr. Ethan Carter. Party of 5, you, your parents, your sister, and a Mr. Leo Parks. I stopped him. Who? Leo Parks. He's listed as the primary guest for the villa. That was the first time I'd heard that name in my life. I hung up and Googled him. Nothing at first, just a handful of LinkedIn pages with no photos. But when I added Croatia to the search, a few things popped up. One Instagram profile, barely any posts. One photo of a sleek car in front of a stone house tagged in Dubrovnik, and 2 comments under the post, both from my sister. The first, can't wait to see it in person, with a smiling face and hard eyes. The second, you're unreal. That's when I realized who he was, her new boyfriend. I remembered hearing his name once, maybe in passing, something like, he's different from the others, which, from her, didn't mean much. I figured she met him at one of those rooftop parties she always posted about, nothing serious. Apparently, I was wrong. The next few days were quiet. No more texts. No one showed up at my door. I assumed maybe the reversal had gone through, and they'd given up. I went about my week, kept my head down, focused on work. But I couldn't stop thinking about that name. Friday morning, I got a notification from my building's front desk. Someone dropped off a package for me with no return address. I went down to get it. It was a small box. Inside, a pair of expensive sunglasses, the same brand my sister had been bragging about on her story last month, and a note written in block letters like they didn't want to be recognized. You owe us. Don't ruin this. That's when I knew it wasn't over. Later that night, I got a call from my dad, the first time since the door scene. I let it go to voicemail. He didn't yell this time. He just said, if you don't want to help, fine. But just know this trip isn't about luxury. It's about security. Security? What the hell did that mean? I called the bank again, asked if there had been any recent attempts to charge the card. There had. 2 days ago, someone tried to book another flight from Split to Paris. One passenger, Leo Parks. It was denied. Now, I knew 3 things. 1, they were still planning to go. 2, he was supposed to leave before them. And 3, this Leo guy wasn't just tagging along, he was leading it. And whatever deal they made with him, it wasn't for my benefit. Saturday afternoon, I drove out to my parents' house. I didn't call ahead. I knew they wouldn't answer anyway, or they'd just lie. When I got there, only the garage door was open. I walked in and saw a few suitcases lined up near the laundry room, my mom's floral one, my dad's beat-up duffel, and one I didn't recognize, sleek, black, and new. I walked straight into the kitchen, and there he was, Leo. Tall, smug, standing barefoot like he owned the place. He had that fake friendly energy, the kind that slides right into families without ever being invited. He didn't even flinch when he saw me. Ethan, right? He said, already smiling. Good to finally meet you. I didn't answer, just looked around. No one else was home. He walked over to the fridge like we were old college roommates. Heard there was some drama over the trip. Your sister didn't want to tell you. Said it would get complicated. I still hadn't said a word. Then he looked at me and said something that set everything spinning. You ever been to Croatia? Wild place, especially when you know who to talk to. The villa isn't in my name, technically, but don't worry, it's clean. He paused for a moment. Mostly. That word sat with me too long. I asked him what the trip was really about. He laughed. Honestly, it was just supposed to be a getaway, a chance to show your family something new. But your sister wanted to make it special. You were part of that, but plans changed. I asked him what he did for a living. He smiled again. Let's just say I move things. Right then, my dad came through the side door, holding a bag of groceries. He froze when he saw me, then forced a smile. We were going to tell you everything, he said. No, you weren't, I replied. You were going to fly halfway across the world and hope I didn't notice. Leo leaned on the counter casually. Look, man, I get it. You feel left out. But it's not personal. It's just business. That word again, business. I left without another word. Got in my car, sat there for 15 minutes trying to piece it together, and that's when it hit me. If Leo's flights were charged to my card, if everything was being routed through me, then my name was on those bookings. And if anything happened out there, if something went sideways, I'd be the one answering for it. I called the airline that handled the Croatia flights. Pretended to be updating a passenger list. They asked me for verification. I gave it. Then I canceled everything. The flights, the villa, the boat, all of it. That night, my phone blew up. My sister, my dad, my mom, and then, unexpectedly, Harper. She texted, "You need to leave your place. I just heard something. He's not who they think he is." I asked her what she meant. She replied, "He's done this before." And then, "Check your mom's jewelry box. He's already started." I didn't know how Harper knew. I didn't even want to ask yet. I just drove back to the house, snuck in through the side, and went to the bedroom where my mom kept her things. The box was open. Half of it was empty. Half the jewelry was gone. Not just the usual gold chains or the stuff she wore to weddings, but the heirlooms were missing. My grandmother's emerald brooch, the antique wedding ring that was supposed to go to my sister someday. All of it vanished. I didn't touch anything. I just stood there in the bedroom with the box open and a wave of something cold settling into my chest. I took a photo of it, then went back to the hallway and texted Harper. "You were right." She replied immediately. "I'm coming to you. Don't talk to them alone." I didn't ask how she knew any of this because I suddenly realized she might have been more involved than I thought. Not part of it, but aware. Leo must have said something in front of her. Maybe he let something slip, or maybe she was starting to regret helping them at all. I walked into the kitchen, not even trying to be quiet now. My dad was at the table typing something on his phone. He looked up like he'd been expecting me. "We can explain," he said. "No," I said. "You can listen." I showed him the photo. "This isn't a misunderstanding. He's already robbing you and you're defending him." He looked at the photo, and for the first time in weeks, I saw it on his face, the shift, the sick realization. He opened his mouth but didn't say anything. I turned to leave, but right then, the front door opened. It was my sister and Leo. She saw the look on my dad's face before she saw what I was holding. Then she saw me, and then the photo. "What is this?" she said. I didn't respond. Leo looked at all of us, smiled, then said, "Now this is getting interesting." And then he walked straight into the living room, sat down, and started flipping through the TV channels like nothing had happened. I followed him. "You're done. You're not going anywhere. You're not touching a damn thing in this house again." He didn't look at me. "You canceled everything, right? That was you." My sister turned toward me, suddenly pale. "You what?" I didn't even answer. I just stared at Leo, waiting for something, a threat, an explanation, anything. Instead, he stood up, walked to the door, and said, "You all really thought I needed your money?" And then he left, just like that. No rush, no panic. We filed a police report that night. It turned out a few other things were missing, too. Smaller, harder to notice, a pair of gold cufflinks, my mom's birthstone pendant, cash from a drawer no one touched. The detective asked how long Leo had been around. My sister said a few weeks. It turned out that was a lie. He'd been in and out for months, staying weekends, watching, building trust. A week later, we got a call, another family in Chicago, same guy, same story, different name. No one knows where he is now. The only photo we had of him was from Instagram. His account disappeared the same night he walked out. And just like that, he became a ghost, a very expensive, very smooth ghost. And my family? They didn't talk about it. Not until 2 weeks later, when we were sitting in silence and my mom asked without any irony, "Do you think we could still go somewhere? Maybe not Croatia, but maybe just something small?" I laughed, but inside I wanted to scream. A few weeks after Leo disappeared, things settled into an eerie sort of denial. Like they all decided without telling me to act as if none of it had happened. My mom started calling just to chat again, asking if I'd eaten. My sister posted a picture of a latte with a quote underneath it, like she hadn't nearly emptied my account for a yacht trip with a con artist. My dad went back to his crossword puzzles and weekend lawn therapy. Not a word about Harper. Not a word about the jewelry. Not even a hint about Leo until one Thursday night. I was home, half asleep on the couch, when my dad texted, "You up?" A few minutes later, he was at my door. No one with him, no suitcase, just him. He came in quietly, sat down, and stared at the coffee table like it held the meaning of life. "We made a mess," he finally said. "And we kept making it worse every time we tried to fix it." He pulled something from his coat pocket and slid it across the table, my mom's emerald brooch. I picked it up. "Where did you get this?" I asked. "Garage." He left a small duffel hidden under the water heater. "Found it after the cops were gone." I waited. He kept talking. "Didn't turn it in." "Should have." "I know. But I thought maybe we weren't ready for more questions." He pulled out an envelope, thick and wrinkled like it had been handled 100 times. Inside was a printed email, a screenshot of a bank transfer for $47,000 wired to an offshore account and a name I didn't recognize, Daniel Harper. The sender, my sister's email. I looked up. "Who the hell is Daniel Harper?" He shook his head. "I don't know, but look." I flipped the page over. Someone had scribbled something by hand on the back, "Tell Ethan, thanks for the ride." I sat back, stunned. "You think Leo was using a fake name?" I asked. "Maybe," he said. "Or maybe Harper wasn't just some fake boyfriend." He paused. "Maybe he was watching us for longer than we realized." The name bounced around in my head for a full minute before something clicked. I opened my laptop, went back to my old email drafts, and started typing variations of the name. There it was. 3 years ago, I'd applied for a short-term contract with a private security firm in Europe. Never followed through. One of the recruiters had signed off their offer letter with the name Daniel H. At the time, I thought it was just a formality, some faceless HR guy. But the email came from an encrypted server and disappeared a month later. I had never replied. Now I was starting to wonder, was that really a job offer, or was it bait? I didn't tell my dad what I found. Not yet. I needed to be sure I wasn't spiraling. But I did something else. I reactivated my old backup account, the one they used to steal from. I put $100 into it just to test something. The next morning, it was gone. Transferred out. Same offshore trail, same name. He was still watching, still checking, still waiting. Whatever this was, it wasn't over. And I wasn't just some idiot they used anymore. I was now a loose end. Update 1. It's been almost a year now. A lot's changed, though most of it doesn't show on the surface. Same haircut, same job, same basic routine. But underneath, it's all different. I look at people differently now, even the ones I love. I live alone in a place downtown. Nothing fancy, just clean, quiet, controlled. 3 locks on the door. 2 security cameras. I never used to be that guy, but I became him without even noticing. Sometimes I wake up and check my bank account before I brush my teeth. Just a habit now. Doesn't matter how many times it's at zero, I still check. I'm more careful about who I let in, friends, dates, even family, especially family. My relationship with them is tolerable. There was no dramatic reconciliation, no teary apology dinner, just a slow return to neutral. I see my parents maybe once a month, usually at a restaurant, never their house. We don't talk about what happened. They avoid the word Leo like it's radioactive. My mom tries in her way. She texts recipes and sometimes asks if I need anything. My dad's quieter. When we do talk, it's mostly about work, weather, nothing personal. And my sister? We haven't spoken in 4 months. The last time we did, she asked me if I'd gotten over it yet, like it was some emotional phase. Like the guy who robbed us all and almost dragged my name into something darker was a bad haircut or an ex I couldn't let go of. She still doesn't get it. Or maybe she doesn't want to. I don't hate her. But I've started to think there are different types of betrayal. Some are loud and obvious. Others are quiet, the kind where someone lets something terrible happen, not because they're evil, but because they needed something so badly they were willing to ignore the cost. I don't know if she's forgiven herself. I'm not sure she ever will. As for Leo, or Daniel, or whoever he really is, he vanished the way smoke disappears in the wind. No trail, no credit activity, no sightings. It's like he folded his entire identity and slipped it into someone else's pocket. Until last week. I came home late from work, tired, distracted, hungry. My mailbox had a single envelope. No return address. Inside was a glossy postcard of a jagged coastline with turquoise water. No message, no date. Just that one photo. On the back, in tiny handwriting, "Told you you'd love the view. D." I didn't show it to anyone. I didn't report it. I didn't even tell Harper, who I still hear from sometimes. We message here and there, both of us circling our old connection without getting too close. She's in Seattle now, working, doing better. She still feels guilty for taking that money. She said she never cashed the second half. I believe her. I burned the postcard in my kitchen sink, not because I was scared, but because I wanted to be done. Because whatever game he was playing, I wasn't going to respond. I wasn't going to get pulled back into whatever he needed next. Maybe he thinks he won. Maybe that postcard was a reminder that he still sees me. But the truth is, I've already won because I walked away with my life, my name, and something he'll never have again: trust. I know who I am now. I know what I'm capable of. And if he ever comes back, he'll find someone completely different.